Joe, good afternoon, and welcome to another decompression session from Scoobla.
Dave, it's an honor and privilege to be here. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, yes, and it's the last Wednesday of October. We have Halloween coming up pretty quick,
Oh,
and I'm excited because I'm in the conference room at the new office for brainSHARE. You're in your part of the office, and I decided I needed to be here as well today. And I want everybody to know we've got a really exciting setup here, and people need to come over and visit us here at brainSHARE.
absolutely. 3350 Scott Boulevard, Santa Clara, California, building number 54.
There you go. So let's talk a little bit about today's subject matter. And I think we may have sent out some information to other people about it, but you and I were talking about what happens during the last quarter of a year. And I think in our one of our last sessions, we talked about burnout and things that can happen and what you do there. But there's another component to that, which is that people can just sort of kind of go, oh, well, forget about it. And they get very complacent about their business, about their personal activities, about whatever, for one reason or another. And that can create some challenges from all the way around in one's personal and business life. Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, I didn't think about this until after you just mentioned it. But the weather, the seasonality also has a lot to do with it. A lot of people during the fall kind of go into this funky modality, and it's part
Hmm.
of their cycle. And
Yeah.
they get to that complacent type modality of just things are just almost melancholy, where it's not not good, not bad, but it's just you get complacent.
You get complacent. Yeah. And I can see how that has an impact. And I can see how the the, the attention that the surroundings, the people that you are interacting with, their attention has been diffused into other things that can make you feel complacent. It's like, well, I really don't have to do too much and push and whatever because hey, no
The
one else is
holidays are
doing it.
coming up.
The holidays are coming up. Yeah.
Winter's coming. It's getting cold as fall sets in, and it's just a whole different dynamic, especially this time of year.
Which is interesting because this time of year is also for retail companies a primary time of year. That's why they call the Friday after Thanksgiving Black Friday. Hopefully, you can get into the black on all the money that you lost in the course of the year. You're going to have to turn a profit for the year because you're in activity. But even at that, for a lot of businesses, the fourth quarter, if they're not in retail, it can be either hectic or not much going on, but either way, complacency can hit you.
Absolutely correct.
So let's take a look at what we were identifying here in this, because we like to share some information slide-wise with our clients when we do these quick sessions. And this one on complacency, and I think you had suggested, and I thought this was a good idea, that we start off by looking at a actual definition of the term. And this we found online. It says the complacency is a state of self-satisfaction or contentment that can lead to a lack of motivation, vigilance, or effort to improve or address potential problems or challenges. So that's kind of like what we described just a minute ago. You kind of sit back and you go, hey, well, everything's going all right, or maybe it's not going right, but why bother? It's sort of the why bother time.
You get to it's not going to make it. The one I hear, oh, it's not going to make a difference anyway.
Right.
So there's all kinds of things like that suck the energy or start to suck the energy out of an organization.
And you have this really wonderful statement. I liked your quote when you said complacency is the enemy of growth and the killer of progress. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
It's just that when you get into a complacency mode, you're not growing. You're not. You don't even. You're not. You don't care about growth. You don't think you're not. You're just almost steady state. It's just fine. Everything's okay. You don't start making improvements and improving the business. Do your total quality control program, your constant improvement, whatever you want to call it. You just get complacent.
I can see how in that mode, you're not even reviewing your KPIs to see what might need to be adjusted and improved for the upcoming year.
Well, let's talk about a couple of companies that may have gotten complacent over the years. You ever hear of a company called Blockbuster?
Blockbuster, I've heard of them. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where are they now?
I think there's one left in Oregon, if that.
Because they got complacent. Everything's just going just fine. They're not looking for growth. They're not looking for progress. You ever have a little tool called a BlackBerry?
I never had one, but I sure know a lot of people who did.
It's that company not what happened. They got complacent. They got hey, they stopped looking for growth. They stopped looking. It's the killer of progress and growth. I
Well,
mean,
BlackBerry was the leader in that sector.
they
And
were the,
rather than,
they had the market share of everything.
but they didn't look to innovate. They didn't look to see, what could we do next? And they just said, we got the lion's share of the market. What do we got to worry about?
Isn't that complacency?
Yes, and to quote Joe Szynski, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, you make my
Let's
day,
take
dude.
this
You
on a
make
little
my
bit.
day.
There are some negative impacts for complacency for sure. One of them is you get this stagnation, which results in missed opportunities. And we just talked about that from the standpoint of the two examples that you gave, because technology was shifting,
Yep,
opportunities were there and present to be able to grow upon one's success, but they stagnated. They missed opportunities because they didn't look any further beyond their nose, pretty much.
yep.
Another one is you get a decrease in productivity, which I thought was rather interesting when you think about that. They're like, there's no drive to improve. Work quality and efficiency can tend to suffer, and the overall performance of the business and your team can go down. And complacency, I guess, kind of from the top down. It can kind of happen from the bottom up, but more from the top down, I would think.
Typically, the top down, it actually can become a company culture.
Oh, that's an interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't define your company culture and refine it, that complacency can sneak in and start that could become part of the company culture, which is a you know I hate to say this, but I see this in a lot of defense contractors,
Oh, yeah, sure. Sure. So
especially the
another,
ones that have been around for 50 years.
well, why do they don't have to worry about it because they're already in there and they know they're going to get something until somebody comes along and kicks them off their pedestal,
Yep,
which happens that's where this competitive disadvantage kind of concept comes in, because if you're not if you get complacent and you figure out, hey, it's just going to happen, I don't have to worry about it, I don't have to pay attention to it, I don't have to service the customer, I don't have to improve my product or service, you are at a disadvantage because there are other companies that are looking to fill that space, to kick you off the front line and take over. I mean,
absolutely. The one that always cracks me up is, oh, I don't have any competition. Well, you
yeah,
probably do. The biggest competitors right between your ears, and
yeah,
that's what complacency is. It's a competitor that's right between your ears.
exactly. A fourth one is you can have customer dissatisfaction. I sort of experienced this recently where I was at a restaurant. Matter of fact, it was this morning. I went into a restaurant and Kathy and I went for breakfast. And usually the people that were there are just like, man, they greet you with a smile, they chat with you, they sit down and get the coffee there in a half a second. And today, the server who was responsible for where we sat, it took about almost 5 minutes before she came over and said hello and to give us a cup of coffee. It was like customer dissatisfaction based on complacency, for sure. So how does that manifest itself in some of the business scenarios that you've had the opportunity to consult people in?
Well, you can see this. I don't see this much in the customer service aspect, as probably I feel it
Mm,
with my clients because we put a high emphasis on the customer and providing that exceptional customer service. But I do see it in the production aspect of things, because especially in mundane, repetitive type environment where it's just over and over again. So shuffling things up a little bit is a good thing. If you see productivity being stagnant, if things aren't changing, you're probably being complacent.
Got it. So the fifth and final one that was part of our identification of negative impacts is financial instability. And I thought about that for a minute when I read that one. I thought, you know, uh, and the side note was that small businesses need to continually assess their financial health, manage cash flow, and adapt their strategies as needed. And I thought about that afterwards, and I said, yeah, you certainly can get complacent. And I've worked for companies who were like, okay, fine, things are moving along okay. Maybe there was a hiccup here or a hiccup there, but they weren't reviewing and analyzing their KPIs, really, their key
Yeah,
performance indicators from a financial perspective, to see where there was an issue that they may need to put attention on today rather than later, and it really hurt them in the long run.
yeah. Well, and you just nailed it. It's in the long run. Typically, complacency creeps in, kind of like
Mm,
creeping elegance in a project where you're creeping scope, as some people call it. The project keeps, oh, we'll
sure.
just add this on. Well, it's not going to matter. It's not, and then you start creating that instability. And you're like, well, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong. Well, complacency has set it.
So one of the things I think is important about what we do at BrainShare is the fact that we have brainshare.us, which is our new URL for the BrainShare.online service. I think we're still calling it the BrainShare.online service because that's what it is, but brainshare.us is our URL for that now. And it's
And
the
Dave,
real
what's more important? It's brain share us.
BrainShare.us, right.
Because it is about us. We're in this together.
Right. And then we have the Scuba Squad, which is the um, self-contained unique business learning apparatus, Scuba. And that's where all the online information is, and you have access to that as a Scuba subscriber. Everything that's up there and all the special things, including the opportunity to be part of these things every 2 weeks or twice a month, I should say, for the second and fourth Thursday of the month, and for second and fourth Wednesday of the month, and to interact with other members and to have direct consultation with you. But the thing about this I think is important is how Scuba helps a business fight complacency. And you identified several things. So I want to bring them up here one at a time and have you talk about them, okay? So first, vision, mission, purpose statements.
That especially our mission and our purpose statement. This is what drives us. Our purpose is what drives us. But these are things that fight complacency because you're looking to continuously improve and continuously get better. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
it's all about. Once you start getting, everything's okay, and you're not looking for those opportunities anymore. That's when the problem starts setting in.
So I would suspect that if your purpose is alive and vibrant and visible and in the mind of not just the leadership, but the other people in the organization, then that is a catalyst to help you come through and do what you need to do every day and improve because it fits your purpose. Yes?
And you're continually driving. It gives you that motivation to move things forward.
Right.
And if it's not, you're probably not living your purpose.
There you go. So the second one is to know your why. Now you talked about the why, but there's a difference in my assessment of what you were talking about between just jotting something down and really having uh, an intrinsic or more sort of a knowingness about what the why is that is part of your person, your being.
Your being, your essence, everything. And this takes a deep dive to really dive into that, as Simon Sinek talks about in his book, Know Your Why, why first. So, and we actually did a workshop on that a while back with Mr. Mike Mills about
Mm-hmm.
Know Your Why, and did an entire workshop on that. And that's why you do what you do. That creates your motivation. Motivation is the complete opposite of complacency.
Sure, sure.
so
And you
so
know,
if you're
I think people hear this a lot and they say, "Oh yeah, you know, why you got to have a why," blah. But I don't know that everyone really um, understands the significance of it. And when they look at putting down a why, it's like, my why is so that I can, you know, go to the Giants game next Thursday. Okay, well, that's, you know, come on, let's get real, Peter Pan, right? These things, these true personal and business reasons for doing what you do are um, much more involved in, like you said, it has something to do with the being rather than just the, you know, the action. It's not action, it's purpose.
yeah, and it takes a while to do a deep dive on that. It took me, over a year to really peel back that onion and understand why we do what we do. And my why is to help, businesses, and the my why is because it makes me feel good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very
It's
cool.
a little selfish, but I feel good whenever I see a business, making that switch from, working 60 hours a week to, hey, you know what? I'm running the business and I don't have to be there. I had a conversation with a client last night and he's like, man, I opened a new store and now I'm working again. Man, I don't know if I like that anymore. It's like I was back in my early days. I had joined three nonprofit boards because I had
Because he had
uh,
the time. There you
yeah,
go.
at the
Because he
time, and he
had the
was giving
time.
back. And now he's like, wow, I got to put some energy into this. I'll get it wrapped up in 3 months, and then I'll be back to my normal state. His normal state is not having to work 40 hours or 30 hours or even 20, probably 10 to 20 hours is what he feels good with now. That's his
Very
new
cool.
norm.
New norm.
That's why I do what I do.
Excellent. Well, let's go into the next one. You talked about goal setting as how Scuba can help fight complacency. What do you mean by that?
Well, so these vision, mission, purpose, they're kind of fluffy, and when you start breaking it down to, okay, what is my long term, my 5 year, my 3 year, my 1 year, in your third 90-day plan, and your 30-day plan, and your weekly plan, your roadmap. As we, you and I have been working on one for us, and we've been working
Hmm.
on lots of them with our clients as we're starting to enter the new year. You look at that, and you go, oh, I'm doing that because I want to get to where I want to go. And that creates that shorter term motivation to do what needs to be done today.
Hmm. Hmm. So the goal at that 5 year, 3 year, 1 year, 90
90
day,
day,
one
30-day.
month, whatever,
Yeah.
creates a specific objective for that window of time that will help you to achieve your purpose. Is that
Yes.
correctly
Yes.
stated?
Yeah. Well, your mission is how you do it, your vision, that your purpose, and this is where we want to be in X amount of time. That's kind of your vision. Your purpose is why we're doing it. So the goal setting is driving towards the purpose and the vision, but it's what you can do today.
What you can do today. And I think it was worth reiterating that goals need to be SMART and what that really means.
Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, or results oriented, whichever one you want to use. And the big one, timeline.
Right.
So the one I see missed a lot is timeline and measurable. I saw
Measurable.
one yesterday. It says increase my revenue. I gave him $1. And then I said, okay, you increase your revenue. Have a good day. You hit your goal. Well, that's not what I meant. Well, tell me what you meant.
Right. And that's an effort that you have to put in to defining them clearly so that you, as the leader of your business and your team, have something that they can use as a compass, a guideline.
Absolutely. You just nailed
Very,
it.
very cool. All right, next item on here, morning routine. Does that mean like getting up and doing your exercise and brushing your teeth and
Actually,
combing your
yes.
hair and coming to work?
Actually, yes. It may sound hilarious, it may sound funny, or whatever, but the morning routine is what gets you going.
Mm.
I mean, Tony Robbins talks about this where he does this cold ice bath every morning, and I'm like, whoa, that's too much for me. But one of my critical, what I believe, routines in the morning is how many people am I going to help today?
Mm.
And I said, you know what? I want to help at least 3 people today. I'm going to make 10 people smile today. And those are the things. Wow, you know what? That gets me going. I don't know what's going
Got
to
it.
get other people going. They've got to, kind of figure that. But that morning routine to really kick things off is, I think, a critical success factor for keeping complacency away.
So let me ask you a question about the morning routine, because if someone decides that they're hearing us or on this call and they say, I need to define and implement a morning routine, it has not yet become a habit. So how do you help yourself develop it into a habit?
Well, good habits are easy to break, and bad habits are easy to create. Um, but to me, it's the calendar. And if you're still struggling, there's a great book called Atomic Habits. Have James Clear, and it's how to incorporate good habits into your life.
Mm,
And
excellent.
yeah, so if that's a must read.
And
To
what's the
me,
name of the book again?
Atomic Habits
Atomic
by
Habits.
James Clear.
James Clear. Very cool. All right. One last
Okay.
piece of recommendation here about how Scuba helps fight complacency. The fact that you have access to BrainShare's material, the systems, the insights, the processes that we can suggest and recommend, and it's 24/7, 365. It's always up, so you can access it whenever you need or want to, and whatever works for you, that you can do that being a member of the Scuba Squad, being part of that subscription group.
Well, and here's what's really cool, Dave, is everything we talked about: vision, mission, purpose statements, know your why, your goal setting, your morning routine. All of those are within the Scuba material, that are within the BrainShare material. So
Right.
you can revise yours, look at yours, modify yours, or create them if needed. So all of this is already in a platform that's available for you 24/7.
Fantastic. Well, Joe, I think that pretty much covers it for the day. Oh, I forgot to change our website to brainshare.us, but that's and I'm
Hey,
flipping
it's
around here.
evolution, not revolution. And your business owners
Boom.
out there have to realize, a lot of things are evolution, not revolution. You don't need to do everything today. In fact, when you try to, it just creates stress and anxiety and everything else. So break your things down in the roadmap and do things when you're supposed to do them. It's okay to pull them up and push them out. It's okay. Stuff's going to happen. The world is not, a static
Going to
place.
end just because, yeah, exactly so. Well, Joe, I think we need to wrap up for today. This has been great. See you on the second Wednesday of November at the next Scuba decompression session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. An honor and privilege to be here.